Very good evening to all of you, and welcome to Stock Durbar by William O'Neill India. So we'll wait for 2 more minutes before we start. So participants are still joining. So maybe yes, we'll start at 4:33. Okay, so let's begin the today's session. Again, a very good evening to all of you, and welcome to the Stock Durbar by William O'Neill India. A disclaimer is that whatever we discuss today, like the Nifty or the any other index or any stocks that you come up with the question and we discuss, is not a advice to buy or sell. This is just for the knowledge sharing purpose. So we can present our ideas, you can raise your questions. So please do not consider it as a advice to buy or sell. Okay. So today was a good day, uh, as you might have seen, and those of you might be reading our daily big picture, these guys might be knowing that we were talking about this 21 DMA support, that it still remains over here, and the level is around 16250 और आज वहीं पे support मिला और वहां से एक अच्छा upward reversal आया, and that was good, like the closing above 450 60, I think, some which is the 5 EMA, the short term moving average level. So I think, see this pink line over here where there was a lot of resistance, and then here there was a support at that line, and now Nifty today reclaimed that line. Though it's a short-term moving average, not very reliable, but yes, since last couple of months, it has been moving around that level. So Nifty rebounded from 21 DMA, close about 5 EMA, that is the exponential moving average. So good setup today. Volume was not that great, not very encouraging, but not an issue because the last 3-4 session also the volumes were already lower. So that's not a problem. Now, with today's action, even in the Nifty Bank, 38,000 के ऊपर की side बंद आया. So with this action, there are chances, right, that यहाँ से अगर momentum sustain हो जाता है, if tomorrow the moment sustains, and let's say we are in a rally attempt, अगर follow through day आता है, then that is very positive. A follow through is 1.5% gain on a higher volume. Even if you don't see a follow through day, but the action, if tomorrow is positive, then that will be a constructive setup. And if this level, this red line, that is the 50 DMA, so let's confirm the level. Okay, yeah, the 50 DMA 16800 ke around hai. So if Nifty reclaims that level around 16850 DMA यहाँ से reclaim हो जाता है, then again there is a open space till 17200 level or such, and this black line is the 200 DMA. Yes, so reclaiming 50 DMA is very important. अगर कल के सेशन में यहाँ पे एक होल्ड होता है, then that might be a positive setup and Nifty can move towards the 50 DMA, and if reclaimed on a higher volume, 200 DMA तक भी जा सकता है. On the opposite side, or you can say on the flip side, अगर 21 डीएम है मतलब आज का लो, दैट बिकम्स वेरी क्रूशियल नाउ। इफ टुडेज लो की जहां से एक रिवर्सल आया, एक मार्केट में मोमेंटम बिल्ड होने का ट्राई हुआ है, अगर ये लो भी ब्रीच हो जाता है, if today's low is also breached from where the Nifty attempted a good momentum, then that is negative, then that can open the further downside, and then we will be looking for this level 15735 15750 जहां पे पिछली बार एक potential bottom बना था. So let's see what happens. But yes, looking at the setup, and if tomorrow's action or maybe next couple of days action is positive, we can march higher towards a 17,000 level. So this was on the technical front, but even on the macro front, there is a lot of things. The noise is very high. अभी जो वॉर चल रहा था रशिया और चल रहा है अभी भी, सो देयर इज नो क्लैरिफिकेशन कि हाँ अभी वो कब तक चलेगा, क्या रिजल्ट होगा. बट द प्रॉब्लम विच वी आर फेसिंग एज अ मार्केट और एज अ कंट्री इज द क्रूड ऑयल. So the crude oil is now already around 123-24 level, which is very high for us. So yesterday you might have seen the RBI का जो MPC था, over there their projection for inflation was 6.7%, considering the basket of crude oil for India at 105. सो अगर यहाँ से और भी एलिवेटेड रहता है क्रूड ऑयल का प्राइसेस, सो अपना इंडिया का बास्केट भी ऊपर जाएगा जो क्रूड ऑयल हम लेते हैं उसका. सो दैट विल इम्पैक्ट द इन्फ्लेशन. अगर इन्फ्लेशन और भी ज्यादा बढ़ने के चांसेस रहा है, देन आरबीआई हैज टू मूव मोर एग्रेसिवली टुवर्ड्स द रेट हाइक व्हिच मार्केट माइट not like in the future. But one good comment by the RBI governor, at least 2-3 good comments. After that, there was some good momentum in the Nifty. इसकी जो कल का 50 बिप्स 0.5% का रेट हाइक आया, वो अभी उन लोगों ने प्राइसिंग नहीं किया इन्फ्लेशन कैलकुलेट करने में. सो अगर क्रूड ऑयल रेंज में रहता है एक बिलो 115 110, एंड अगर मॉनसून नॉर्मल हो जाता है, देन यू माइट नॉट सी सम वेरी एग्रेसिव रेट हाइक्स, क्योंकि ये 50 बिप्स भी अभी ट्रांसलेट होगा इन्फ्लेशन को थोड़ा कंट्रोल करने में. सो दैट इज something good. The other thing is growth guidance has not been lowered. RBI has not lowered the growth guidance. Plus, they have commented a bit positive about the consumption picking up. Urban consumption pick up hua hai, rural consumption is also about to pick up. That is what their analysis is. So if that happens, though it might take some time because inflation is high, the monsoon is still here, right? Because अगर monsoon अच्छा नहीं गया तो again different possibilities होगी, but we that's not a point to discuss it now. But the most important thing is considering अच्छा monsoon or crude in control, the money in the rural economy will also start pumping up, and वहां से भी spendings आएगा. Also the government is lot of focus on agriculture, MSP बढ़ा रहा है, farmer income बढ़ा रहा है, अच्छा भाव मिलेगा सबको अगर क्रॉप्स अच्छा हुआ तो. so that all will be very positive for the consumption. And yes, next week is lot of data, and you might be knowing कि हाँ आज ECB का रेट आने वाला है. देन टुमारो यूएस इन्फ्लेशन डेटा इज देयर. ऑन 13th of June इंडिया का इन्फ्लेशन डेटा आएगा. ऑन 15th June फेड का मीटिंग है. 16th को इंग्लैंड के का मीटिंग है वहाँ की गवर्नर का. और 17th को जापान की सेंट्रल बैंक का मीटिंग है. सो द नेक्स्ट वीक इज फुल ऑफ दीज डेटास, राइट, स्टार्टिंग फ्रॉम द today ECB's data and tomorrow's USA inflation data. So there might be volatility. So that is what you all need to brace up for. Abhi volatility to rahega, and that is what you need to understand, is that in this market, don't go very aggressive in the buying or on the selling side. So there might be a lot of volatility. एक डेटा अच्छा आ गया, क्या पता मार्केट चला दे. कहीं पे न्यूज आ गया कि भाई रशिया में थोड़ा वॉर का सिचुएशन नॉर्मलाइज हो रहा है, दे आर ट्राइंग टू नेगोशिएट, देन आल्सो दैट कैन बी पॉजिटिव फॉर द मार्केट. ऑन द फ्लिप साइड, अगर वहां से कुछ और बढ़ गया कि भाई कुछ और कंट्रीज इन्वॉल्व हो रहे हैं, या फिर समथिंग वेरी नेगेटिव न्यूज फ्रॉम दी वॉर की अभी चल रहा है, क्रूड ऑयल पे भाव बढ़ जाता है, देन यू नेवर नो दैट कि क्या आ जाएगा यूएसए का इन्फ्लेशन, फेड क्या करेगी. सो डोंट ट्राई टू प्रिडिक्ट, जस्ट फॉलो द रूल बेस्ड मेथड. मार्केट क्या कर रहा है, कहाँ लेवल पे पहुंचा है, फॉलो थ्रू डे आ रहा है, वॉल्यूम कैसा है, लीडिंग स्टॉक्स क्या कर रहे हैं, जस्ट ट्राई टू ऑब्जर्व ऑल दैट डेटा एंड बी देयर. सो डोंट ट्राई टू प्रिडिक्ट द मार्केट. Okay, so this was about the Nifty. Now, if you look at some of the sectors, so Nifty Bank, I think today's candle is not here. Yes, it gets updated. So sector वाले candle थोड़े late update होते हैं. So I think today is not there. हाँ, but आज positive रहा 38,000 के ऊपर बैंक निफ्टी का close आया, which is really good. Here also the 50 DMA अगर reclaim कर लेता है, then there can be some positive moves. So the 50 DMA is 35,680. और जो प्रीवियस अभी दो कैंडल है जो 50 DMA के ऊपर बने थे, दैट उसका हाई था समवेयर अराउंड 36,000. सो अगर ये दो लेवल्स बैंक निफ्टी निकाल सकता है जो कि 35,680 का और 36,000 का, देन देयर विल बी सम पॉजिटिव मूव इन बैंक निफ्टी till, let's say we can say that till 200 DMA, जो यहाँ पे एक नेक्स्ट रेजिस्टेंस लेवल बन सकता है 36,824. सो अगर बैंक निफ्टी में थोड़ा मोमेंटम रहेगा देन दैट विल आल्सो हेल्प निफ्टी बिकॉज हायर वेटेज है निफ्टी में. वैसे भी अगर रेट हाइक साइकिल जब भी स्टार्ट होता है देन दैट इज ऑलवेज हेल्प्स बैंक, क्योंकि उनका निम बढ़ जाता है, उनका अर्निंग बढ़ सकता है वेन एवर देर इज अ रेट हाइक साइकिल. So they increase the lending rate, their NIM starts increasing, and that can positively reflect in earnings. Also, the most important thing is economic growth. अगर जैसे कि गवर्नर सर told that कि we are positive on the economic growth, कि हाँ वहाँ पे हम कट नहीं कर रहे टारगेट. So during the rate hike cycle, if the economic growth is maintained, then that is very positive for banks, क्योंकि उन लोगों का जो मार्जिन्स है, निम्स है, वो बढ़ जाता है एंड अर्निंग्स बढ़ेगा. सो अर्निंग्स बढ़ेगा तो द स्टॉक विल बी इन अ पॉजिटिव मोमेंटम, अपग्रेड्स आएंगे. So that is positive for bank nifty if the growth is maintained and when there is a rate hike cycle. So India में भी rate hike cycle, there is clearly it has started 40 bips, उसके बाद 50, and I think there is estimate कि next 2-3 meetings में भी rate cuts are possible. So overall for that bank nifty is, that sense it is positive, but yes, the growth needs to be watched out. Now if you look at Nifty Auto, yes, it is trading quite well because the May there was a very good recovery. जो May का data आया था और सारी autos company का, that shows that there is a partial recovery and the demand is good. Supply side थोड़ा issue है but demand अच्छा है and recovery is good. And if you look at the technicals, yes, it is trading about all the key moving averages, and this has been one of the outperformer in the recent fall due to some positive business momentum. Let's take one, two more, and then we start with your question. So if you look at Nifty FMCG, यहाँ पे थोड़ा issue है. Since I think yes, since April it is consolidating. वहां से एक बार नीचे भी गिरा था. It moved, went below its all key moving averages 200, 21, 50. सारी moving averages को तोड़ा था. अभी थोड़ा hold किया है, but since last 3-4 days again it is under pressure. See, governor commented that the demand revival है. There is not issue with the demand, but जो inflation है उसकी वजह से इतना पिकअप नहीं हो रहा है डिमांड. एंड द सेकेंड थिंग इज कि अभी जो डिमांड वाला सीजन है दैट इज नेक्स्ट, जो अभी फेस्टिवल सीजन होगा उसमें एक मेजर डिमांड का पॉसिबिलिटी है. एंड फॉर दैट द गुड मॉनसून एज वेल एज द इन्फ्लेशन अंडर कंट्रोल इज वेरी वेरी नेसेसरी. अभी इस बार का अगर रिजल्ट का आप देखें एफएमसीजी कंपनी का, यू विल सी द रेवेन्यू ग्रोथ इज गुड. So you just look at the result and say that okay, revenue तो बढ़ रहा है, but that is due to price hike. अभी सारी companies ने 5 to 7%, 10% they have increased the price. So that will translate into the higher revenue compared to YOY basis. But if you see the volume growth is not that great. अभी एक product का price ही बढ़ गया तो revenue तो अच्छा ही आएगा, right? अभी मान लो 20 वाला सब 24-5 का मिल रहा है, so revenue will translate. But look, what you need to look at is volume. So volume growth जो एक्सपेक्टेड था उतना अच्छा नहीं है. बट यस, लॉन्ग टर्म इट इज गुड. अगर एवरीथिंग रिमेन्स अंडर कंट्रोल देन द डिमांड माइट पिक अप एज वी अप्रोच द फेस्टिवल सीजन, एंड फॉर लॉन्ग टर्म द एफएमसीजी इज गुड. एंड यू कैन सी लास्ट फ्यू डेज वॉल्यूम भी लो था जब ये गिर रहा है. So let's see how the technical setup of the leading stocks develop. And okay, now it's already 15 minutes done, so we'll start with your questions. And in between, whenever the sector things come, we can discuss a bit whenever we are discussing the stock. So the forum is open for your questions. Please don't repeat your question multiple times because it becomes difficult to scroll up and get the questions. So we will try to answer as many as possible. So I'm joined by my colleague Rajshekhar and Vakar. So we three will try to answer as many questions as possible. Okay, so let's start with Rishit's question. That's M&M. This has been in a very good momentum. Result was good. The auto numbers for the May was very good, and their launching is quite nice. So उनके जो tractor business है, that is also doing well. जो उनका PV segment है उसमें भी नई SUV जैसे कि XUV 700, the demand is very good. Now they are launching that Scorpio N, right? The father of all SUVs is coming. And so firstly the demand अच्छी है, ठीक है, PVs में as well as the tractors में. So monsoon is approaching, monsoon is expected to be good. So सारे segments पे M&M is doing quite well, and they've been able to perform well as far as the quarterly numbers are concerned. अगर आप last quarter का number देखें, so that was very good, and that's the reason the stock is trading near its all-time high. The accumulation is also very good, volume बहुत सही था, and it is trading just above its ideal buy zone. So 0 to 5% is the pivot zone. The breakout was very good on a good volume, and yes, it is consolidating over here, which is quite good. So this setup, there is no issue. Just the problem is market. अगर follow through day नहीं आया है, market में volatility है, and that's the reason we are not looking forward for these stocks. Otherwise, the setup is quite good for the stock. It is one of the leader in the auto sector, and it is showing that momentum.
Thanks, Rishit. There are lots of queries. Hi, am I audible, Rishit?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, I'll take few queries now.
Rajshekhar, can you be little loud?
I'll start with Pidilite. Question asked by Manish Gandhi and Asian Paints. Okay, Pidilite, I can see here stock, one of the greatest wealth multi-bagger in the recent past, but however, in the starting from January, the stock has been under pressure. It is falling, and it has reached its key moving averages 50 and 200 DMS as well. Most of its ratings have also deteriorated, starting from its fundamental rating EPS of 54. Technicals have also deteriorated. They are in a poor category, mostly because of its underperformance compared to the general market. That is one of the reason. And on the fundamental front, stock has not been able to report growth numbers on revenue front. I can see here on the EPS front. For the September and December quarter, there was no growth in the EPS front. That is the reason the stock EPS strength is at poor. Institutional investors are also not increasing their stake in the company. They are slightly number of funds decreased nearly 1%. It is around 6 to 7 funds have exited from the stock. That is not a good sign. For a stock, we would like to see the institutional investors increasing their stake in the company. That signifies that there is a good interest among the big buyers, because big buyers will give good support when the market is not in good condition. These big buyers will try to give support to the stock. When these institutions are exiting, that means they are not able to support the stock. They are seeing some negativity in the stock. That is the reason they will exit, and they look for stocks which are showing good strength. And as with most of the stocks, are taking a entry at this point at the current point is not advised, given that general market is not in a good shape. Nifty is also trading below its key moving averages. We like the stock to trade above its key moving averages. That is, if it retakes its 200 DMA on good volume, that is another 12% from here. By the time the stock will also consolidate sideways, then we can see we can look for an entry in the stock. Until then, it's better to wait on the sidelines. And if you are holding the stock, actually you could keep today's low or the recent low 2050 as a stop loss, and you can exit the stock. Next is Asian Paints. Asian Paints is also another good growth stock in the Indian economy. It has given good superior returns to the investors. However, in the recent past, the stock has succumbed to some selling pressure. Uh, there are a couple of reasons because there are some mostly there is one competitor, that is a Grasim Aditya Birla company. They are foraying into the paint industry, and they have also aggressively given a capex of target of nearly 10,000 crores in the next couple of years. That is one of the reason that kind hinder the Asian Paints growth. However, being a market leader, it can we feel that it can continue to grow in a rapid scale because India is still an under penetrated country when compared to per capita paint consumption. When you compare per capita consumption with Western countries like European and US, also Chinese, we are still very low per capita consumption, and we are still a very highly growing economy. So there will be demand for the paint in the economy. So that won't hinder the Asian Paints growth, but that is a short-term hindering factor. That is the reason the stock has slightly succumbed to selling pressure. It is also trading below its key moving averages. Again, the stock it is trading in a stage one consolidation base, nearly lower end of the base pattern. As Nifty reshapes or the Nifty reclaims their key moving averages, these stocks will also try to lead the sector and lead the index. That is one we want leading stocks to break out from their moving from their base patterns. If that happens, you can definitely take consider this stock to add to a portfolio. However, at this particular point, we would like to wait and watch this point.
Yarachekar Vakarya, I'll take in a few queries now.
Okay.
Rishit, can you give me the chart for Polycab, please? Thank you. Yeah, so the stock was forming a cup with handle base, and during the result season, and it's currently trading below its key moving, all the key moving averages, such as your 50 DMA, 200 DMA, and your 21 DMA as well. So the fall on the 200 DMA was on high volumes, so which is not a good sign. And if we talk about the institutional holding, the number of funds are kind of flattish with the stock, and post the results and everything, it has not increased. Talking about the recent results for the company, the results was kind of in line in terms of market expectations. The wires and cables had a good growth of around 40%. The overall revenue growth was around 35%. But yes, inflation did hit the margins, and that's why on account of your higher raw material cost, the company did see their EBITDA margins declining, and the overall EBIT margins for the company is around 9.8% for FY22, and the company is guiding that it will revert back to its normal of 11 to 13% in FY22, 23, 24. And overall, the segments are growing well apart from the FMEG segment. The company has been increasing its dealers and distributor network as well. It's been currently starting at 4,600. Even the talking about your um, the market share for the company in the regulated market is around 24% higher by 200 BPS from FY21. So overall, the fundamental and the qualitative story for the company remains strong, but the technical setup is kind of not good at the moment. So let the stock re-break out or even reclaim its key moving averages such as 200 DMA and 50 DMA on higher volume. Let the RS line trend higher. And probably if even the market supports, then it can be a stock to look out around maybe around the pivot level for the company. The other stock that I like to discuss would be Hindustan Aeronautics. Hal. Yeah. So it's one of the few stocks that is still trending well in this market. Rishit, can you show me the base count, please? What's the base count? Is it not? Yeah, so not that high. I mean, even in this market, it's still trending from stage three base. But I mean, probably people who would have bought around the pivot or at the breakout are sitting on good gains of around 29-30%. But looking at the current levels, not advised because it's kind of stretched from its moving averages, the 50 and 200 DMA. And but overall, the story looks good. The number of funds with the stocks has been increased 16.6% quarter on quarter. Talking about your RS rating, it's one of the best at the moment, even with great buyer demand of E plus. Talking about the fundamental story, the EPS strength of 90 reflects that, and even the overall guidance that is maintained by the company. I mean, the recent guidance is good around a single digit growth, revenue growth in FY23, along with your EBITDA margins of 25-26%. Why the company is able to maintain that kind of high margin is because of its fixed price contracts. So because of those fixed price contracts, it's able to maintain those kind of high margins. And overall in FY22 itself, the company had an order inflow of around 250 billion, and the net or the cumulative order inflow by FY23 itself, I mean, the street is estimating that it can cross 1,000 billion for the company. And I mean, the Russia dependence on the MRO business is around 60 billion of the revenue for the company. But the management is pretty confident that they have the inventory is well booked, and that's not going to create much of pressure for the company. So overall, the fundamental story remains good, but the people who are holding with this stock can remain to hold it, but any new fresh positions at the moment in the stock is not advisable. Rishi, the other stock we'll look at it is DMart, Avenue Supermarts. Yes, so even with the FMCG sector that Rushit discussed, I mean the sector and even the stock has been in some kind of pressure for the last 4 to 6 months because of the inflation. Talking about the inflationary trend and the other uh, that as well, the volume growth is not there, and even the stock is trading well below its 200 DMA. The moving averages lines are kind of inverted at the moment. So the lower or the shorter day moving averages are trending lower, and your 200 DMA is at a higher level. So that's not a good sign. You would want your shorter day moving averages to trend higher. So let the stock reclaim its 200 DMA going forward. Even the number of funds holding the stocks have decreased. Talking about on the result front, the stock did deliver in terms of your revenue growth. The stock did deliver what the street was estimating, and even what the company delivered in their pre-result press release. So the revenue growth was around 19%, which was much in line. And but the margin was the EBITDA margin was tad better for the company. So that was on a good sign. And for the quarter itself, the company added around 21 new stores to the tally. At the total tally is around 284 spread is at spread across 11.5 million square feet. So talking about the two businesses, the FMCG and the other business, the FMCG business is kind of growing in line with the company estimates, but the non-FMCG business is kind of hit, but the hit is on account of inflation or general market change on account of people moving towards e-commerce is difficult to gauge or ascertain at the moment by the company. So it will be good to watch out for the upcoming press results and upcoming earning results from the company.
Thanks, Vakar.
Okay.
I'll discuss Gujarat Gas. Okay, so yeah, this has been in a downtrend since almost a year, I can say now. Yes, I think it made a top somewhere in August 2021, and since then the stock is falling down. So now currently, if you see, it is trading below its 250 DMA. Recently selling बहुत ही ज़्यादा था. And see, one of the key reason that you should understand is एक तो international market में गैस के prices बहुत बढ़ रहे हैं, ठीक है. So one of the major business जो गुजरात गैस का है वो है, गुजरात में एक मोरबी रीजन है, वहां पे जो ये फैक्ट्रीज है वहां पे वो सप्लाई करता है. दैट इज वन ऑफ द मेजर बिजनेस. सो वहां पे क्या हो रहा है कि अभी इतने हाई प्राइसेस पे दे कांट अफोर्ड द थिंग. सो they have started using the propane, right? The propane gas is an alternative to the gas that Gujarat Gas supplies, and it is available at a little cheaper rate, and you can say much cheaper rate compared to the current price. And so to compete over there, Gujarat Gas दोनों तरफ से प्रॉब्लम में आ सकते हैं. एक, प्रोपेन गैस की प्राइसेस को अगर वॉल्यूम चाहिए तो compete करना पड़ेगा, एंड फॉर दैट दे नीड टू रिड्यूस द प्राइस, व्हिच दे डिड इट. आई थिंक लास्ट वीक या आई थिंक दिस वीक में ही उन लोगों ने प्राइस कट किया अराउंड 5 पर यूनिट. सो उससे क्या होगा कि मार्जिन डिटोरिएट होगा. अगर मार्जिन को बचाने के लिए, क्योंकि हायर गैस प्राइसेस है ग्लोबल मार्केट में, अगर वो मार्जिन बचाने के लिए प्राइस बढ़ाते हैं तो उनका वॉल्यूम ग्रोथ अच्छा नहीं रहेगा. आई मीन वॉल्यूम पूरा कम हो जाएगा. सो दोनों साइड से इट इज इन अ डिलेमा. सो दैट्स द रीजन अभी रिसेंटली द स्टॉक इज अंडर प्रेशर, द स्टॉक इज फॉलिंग. So once the gas prices, the natural gas prices gets normalized globally, we need to wait for that time. क्योंकि बाकी तो क्या है कि मार्जिन पे तो प्रेशर रहेगा. अगर compete करना है तो वो गैस का प्राइसेस कम करेंगे जैसे अभी रिसेंटली किया. सो दैट इट बिकम्स एन इश्यू. टेक्निकली अभी बहुत वीक है. सो लेट्स सी हाउ द फंडामेंटल इम्प्रूव. प्राइसिंग क्या होता है, कितना शिफ्ट होता है प्रोपेन गैस पे, कितना नहीं होता है, तो वो सब देख के अगर एक बार जब टेक्निकल इंप्रूव होता है और ये सब फंडामेंटल चीजें और दिस क्वार्टर अर्निंग्स और द मैनेजमेंट कमेंट्री हाउ इट गोज, so that is when you should look for the Gujarat Gas. And it's not a prudent decision to catch the falling knife. So catching Gujarat Gas around 500 is not a prudent thing to do. Yes, and entire the gas distribution company is facing this higher pricing issues. So now there is one question on Raymond. Okay, so last week was the Raymond's week, you can say. So it hit a upper circuit on June 2nd. So there was a breakout from COP3 stage base, but there was no handle formation, and also the market was not in that great shape. Also, there was a third base breakout, so not a good time to add a stock. And after that there was a strong reversal. जिस दिन अपर सर्किट पे बंद हुआ उसके नेक्स्ट दिन ही सर्किट रिवाइज हो गया, 10% में आ गया, एंड अगेन देयर वाज अ फॉल फ्रॉम देयर. सो आइडियली मोटा मोटा फिर से वही लेवल पे 1000 के अराउंड आ गया. सो 2-3 थिंग्स अराउंड रेमंड. फर्स्टली जो उनका बिजनेस है दैट इज डूइंग वेरी गुड. अभी फेस्टिवल सीजन तो आना बाकी है, बट जो वेडिंग सीजन है, बाकी भी जिस तरह का परचेज हो रहा है, द कंजम्पशन इन स्पेशली दिस स्पेस इज वेरी गुड. सो उसकी वजह से उनका बिजनेस ग्रोथ अच्छा हुआ, उनका पैट ग्रोथ वाज वेरी गुड. सो दैट इज वन थिंग. सेकंड थिंग, रेमंड की पास सिर्फ एक बिजनेस नहीं है जो हमको पता है. दे आर इनटू दैट रियल एस्टेट स्पेस, और काफी अदर कंपनीज भी ओन करता है रेमंड. So there are talks of the two companies or two subsidiaries of Raymond that might come up with the IPO. एंड एक कंपनी का कुछ एस्टिमेट है 800 करोड़ का आईपीओ का, और दूसरा का है अराउंड 700 करोड़ का आईपीओ. सो इफ द वैल्यूएशन दे गेट is good, then the stock might be in a momentum, but I don't think in this market abhi they will come up with a IPO. And let's see how the IPO when it comes और उनका valuation क्या होता है. So valuation game देखना पड़ेगा, but otherwise technically volume से ही गिरा है. So one can avoid this stock as of now looking at the sharp reversal, क्योंकि एक बार power to pivot hit होता है, जैसे कि यहाँ पे green flag है, उसके बाद आइडियली इतना रिवर्सल नहीं होना चाहिए, बिकॉज इट्स ऑलरेडी 22% ऑफ इट्स हाई in just 5 sessions. So not a good sign. Very volatile. So those who are already invested and have at a lower level, they might wait for some key moving averages जैसे कि 21 DMA 50 DMA है, and book their profit if वहां से breach होता है. But fresh entry in this market and the way the volatile the stock is, one can wait for it. Next, let me take Tata Power before Rajshekhar or Waka starts again. Okay, so this stock was in a very good momentum, especially after February. From around 203 level, it went to 298, or you can say 300, almost 100 rupees move in just 2 months. But it has been falling since then, and यहाँ पे 210 to 230-40 के level पे consolidate कर रहा है. If you can see last 8 to 10 days, it is trading in a very tight range, और उसका volume भी बहुत कम है. So ideally this is a good setup. Yes, we can mark it as a positive thing. फर्स्टली जो ये ग्रीन लाइन है उसके ऊपर है, ठीक है, तो 21 डीएमए के ऊपर और एकदम टाइट रीजन में कंसोलिडेट कर रहा है, एंड वॉल्यूम्स भी लोअर है. सो दिस इज गुड, बट व्हाट यू नीड टू लुक फॉर इज कि ये रेड लाइन जो है 50 डीएमए उसको कब क्रॉस करेगा. इफ आफ्टर आई थिंक दिस very good consolidation, you can say, if the stock moves about the 50 DMA on a higher volume, अगर 243-44 का level higher volume पे निकाल लेता है, then that is a very positive for the stock. And the other good thing is कि 50 DMA ये market में भी नीचे नहीं जा रही है. If you can observe this red line, that is 50 DMA, that is holding. Also the relative strength hold कर रहा है around 74. 200 DMA upward sloping है. Support levels काफी close है. You can keep 21 DMA look at for the support. So the setup is good, but wait for some ये टाइट एरिया का ब्रेकआउट देके अगर 50 डीएमए का मूव लेती है, लेट मी चेक ऑन वीकली इफ देयर इज एनी फॉर्मेशन ऑफ टाइट एरिया. यस, सो अकॉर्डिंग टू ओनिल 3 वीक का होना चाहिए, लेस देन 1.5% का एक्शन ऑन द क्लोजिंग बेसिस फॉर द वीकली, देन वी विल मार्क इट एज अ टाइट एरिया. और यहाँ पे एक ब्लू कलर का आपको जोन दिखेगा, बट यस इट इज स्टिल नॉट फॉर्म टाइट एरिया, बट 7-8-10 दिन से काफी कंसोलिडेट किया है 21 डीएमए के ऊपर. सो दैट इज पॉजिटिव. फंडामेंटली देखिए कोई मेजर इश्यू नहीं है, बट इस बार के रिजल्ट में अगेन बिजनेस अच्छा है. उनका जो ईपीसी का काम है, पावर का दूसरा है, उसका बिजनेस सब जगह अच्छा है. बट अभी क्या है, उन लोगों का जो सोलर प्लांट का फिटिंग कर रहे हैं, पावर मतलब वो जो ईपीसी बिजनेस है उनका, तो जो मॉड्यूल होते हैं या फिर सेल्स होते हैं जो सोलर पावर जनरेट के लिए चाहिए, उनका कॉस्ट बढ़ा हुआ है. सो उसकी वजह से मार्जिन पे इम्पैक्ट आता है. सो द स्टोरी रिमेन्स क्वाइट सिमिलर हर जगह. ऑटोस देखिए, रियल एस्टेट देखिए, या फिर टाटा पावर का भी देख लो कि बिजनेस अच्छा है, बिजनेस में कुछ प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, डिमांड अच्छी है, बट जो मटेरियल कॉस्ट है वो बढ़ता जा रहा है. सो वो अभी जब तक वो ट्रांसलेट नहीं हो जाता, न्यू नॉर्मल में हम नहीं आ जाते जब तक, तब तक ये सब इश्यूज तो मार्जिन वाले दे कैन रिमेन. अदरवाइज टेक्निकली नॉट मेजर इश्यू, बट हाँ अगर डाउन साइड भी डिस्कस करना जरूरी है मार्केट पे। 21 डीएमए ब्रीच करता है, दैट इज 230 लेवल ऑन अ हायर वॉल्यूम, और अगर फर्दर 200 डीएमए भी ब्रीच हो जाता है देन दैट इज वेरी नेगेटिव एंड वन शुड हैव अ लुक अराउंड दोज लेवल्स। ओके,
Rishit, I'll take Reliance now. Next one,
yes,
quickly.
and one can yeah, sure.
Yeah, you are saying something. Okay, Reliance today it is one of the top gainer in Nifty. It has given good support for the index. If you observe the price action when compared to other stocks, banking stocks were underperforming today, but Reliance gave good support for the index. That's the reason Nifty outperformed Bank Nifty. Also, today is a weekly expiry of option contracts. The recent past, like starting from midweek of May, the Reliance has given very good returns, like almost 400 point gain from the low made in May, May 12th or May 10th, something like that. It has found good support at its 200 EMA. You can see here. So this is the reason why we like to find look for the stocks which are finding support at their key moving averages. Stocks like these will definitely find support. You can see here a couple of occasions here as well. Here as well. So these large cap stocks will most definitely will find support at its key moving averages. However, if the situation is very bad overall economy wise or any macroeconomic front, then the moving averages may not give good support. But on a normal basis, these levels will act as a good support for large cap stocks like Nifty 50 stocks. They act generally as a good support, and it is currently Nifty is trading nearly 2,000 points lower compared to its all-time high. However, Reliance is trading just 100 points, I think, below its all-time high. That shows its outperformance when compared to general market. If you take out Reliance outperformance with the Nifty, then the Nifty would be another 105, another 500 points below from the current trading price. And there are many reasons for the Reliance outperformance. On the mostly on the telecom front, ARPUs are expected to increase because its rival Bharti Airtel is looking to increase its price. If that happens, Jio will also follow the suit and they will also increase their prices in order to increase their average revenue per user. That will act as a positive for the stock. Also, the crude oil price has increased suddenly. So Reliance has a very good inventory with them. So that inventory will have a good effect on the, they can sell the inventory at the higher prices because they have built up their inventory at the lower prices. Suddenly the crude oil has increased. So that will also act as a positive side for the company. And there are other reasons like they're also always looking for opportunities. They have recently acquired a women's innerwear brand. So they're on the retail front. So uh, being a large cap stock and they're always looking for new opportunities for growth wise. That is the reason the stock has been outperforming the market. You can see it's fundamentally a very good stock. There is no two ways about it. It's EPS is at 90. See the number of funds. It is around 2,000 funds have invested in the company, and it is still growing at a good pace. So there are new institutions taking position in the company. That is also a good sign. So everything about the company is looking good and fair enough. The only reason that is holding is that general market is not advising us to take entries into the stocks. However, if the market gives good opportunity, or if the Nifty gives a follow through day from here, we'll definitely add stocks like these which are outperforming the general market. Next, I'll take Divis. Rishit. In the case of Divis, here there is a sharp price fall. You can see here in the last week of May. Uh, However, the stock has reported better than expected earnings, but surprisingly, the market has reacted negatively. That is, investors have taken it as negatively and they have exited the stock. That is very surprising in this case. They are also aggressively looking for increasing capex around 2,000 crores to capture APIs, uh, a chunk of APIs in the coming years. However, the market has taken that as negatively. That is very surprising. That is the reason it's always better to go with the price volume action rather than taking news-based events. We never know how the market reacts to a particular news. There might be some the news can be always be priced in beforehand. That we are not sure. However, price volume action will definitely will not falter our views. It will definitely give good view compared to the news based views. And due to underperformance, there is no point in taking fresh entry here. After a short fall, the stock is trying to consolidate at the lower levels, but it is clearly trading below its 200 EMA. That is around 25% below its 200 EMA. That is a long way to go for the stock. Number of funds have also declined in the recent quarter. Price strength has also declined to 10, which is very low compared to what we look for. We look for a RS rating of around 75 to 80. So at this particular point, it's better to avoid stocks with a lower price rating. It's better to wait sidelines.
Just one thing
Rakshit,
that I want
okay.
to add for this DV. So I think unka jo management commentary, they have not given a guidance. And one important drug that they supply, the raw material that is related to molnupiravir, COVID drug type. So there is uncertainty around the sales, which contribute, a major revenue growth. So I think, and also one of the plant they have not go in India, which I think there are discuss about the capex, which is really good, but I think that is why the negative reaction, because they have not got the permission also to start that new plant. So a couple of negative things with the margin guidance, sorry, the growth guidance not given by the management. So I think that is the reason you might have seen this steep fall over here. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, Rushit, I'll take in a few queries. Thanks for the Divis explanation. Yeah, this first query I'll take in is Nocil. So the stock is forming a cup base. I mean, the cup base is kind of wide and the stage count is around 3. Let's see how the stock behaves around its pivot. Has been, I mean, the RS line has been trending higher before even the stock reported its Q4 numbers. And the cup base is kind of in formation at the moment. And overall, the buyer demand for the stock is increasing. The RS rating on the RS line is also improving. It's trending higher. Can you show me the volumes? I mean, how the accumulation and distribution happening? Yeah. So the stock is kind of accumulating apart from 1 or 2 days where, I mean, this stock had distribution. The stock has been trending higher on higher volumes. It's reclaimed its 200 DMA, 50 DMA as well. And then talking about on the result front and the fundamental front, the Nocil is a leading player in the rubber chemical segment, which supply the intermediaries to your tire industry, such as your anti-degradants, antioxidants, and accelerators. It is a market leader in India at around 40 to 45% of market share in the Indian market. has a capacity of around 1 lakh 10,000 MT with a capacity utilization of 75%. It's currently debt free, so which is a good sign for the company. And overall, the company reported a very good quarter. So it's like it's a commodity chemical. So not so with the commodity cycle in place and with the recent pickup in your uh, auto sales numbers as well. I mean, not across the gamut of autos picking up, but the PVs and the space is picking up. So yes, with that, and even the replacement demand for your tire industry remains strong as well. So they're expecting that the tire industry to grow in higher single digits in your FY23. Plus, even your China plus one strategy is auguring well for the company, and even the returns profile remains good for the company. The ROE is around has improved from 7% from the lower cycle to around 12-13% now, and is expected to go to 17% in the next couple of years. Overall, the ADD that the company was applying for in the is been rejected, had to be, because the company is able to pass on the raw material prices, and they're able to offset the higher raw material prices as well as the freight cost, and they're sitting at a very superior EBITDA margin profile of 24%, which is still not at its peak, giving a taking it as a commodity play. So even during the peak of the cycle, the last cycle was around 28-30%. So it's still far away from that. So let's see. With at that moment, the volumes was around 55,000 MT. So with the double in capacity in place, and with the higher margins, the company has huge headroom for growth. But let's see how the market reacts to the future earnings commentary and earnings presentation by the company, and how the stock behaves around the pivot. The next stock that we'll look at is Bharat Electronics. So again, the stock is forming a cup base. The RS line is also trending higher, and overall, it's one of the few stocks that is able to hold well in this weak market as well, with good buyer demand, good price strength, and still trending above its key moving averages. Why is this? Because the stock has reported better than expected numbers. For the Q4 FY22. Yes, there was a decline in terms of revenue, but even on the EBITDA margin, but the decline was less than that what the street estimated. And what we can, the best part about the company that we can look at it is the order book. The order book remains very strong for the company. The order book as of March 2022 is around 57,570 crores. So, with the strong order pipeline, we can see that the FY23 and 24 remains well in place for the company. Export order book is also around strong at $269 million. And overall, if you look at the capex spent by the company, is around 465 crores for FY22. And uh, talking about the non-defense segments, which is around 12% for the company is expecting to take that 12% to 20% in the next couple of years. With that happening, that can improve the margin profile for the company, as well as the diversification benefit for the company as well, like streaming away from not just one kind of revenue line of defense products, but the others as well. So overall, the fundamental story and the earnings profile remain strong for the company. We can wait how the stock behaves around its pivot, and does the market remains supportive of the move as well. The other we can look at is Deepak Fertilizers. Yeah. Again, this one of the few stocks that have held up well in this market, forming a stage to cup base. stock have kind of remained volatile in the last few months, but looking at the ratings and the price volume action for the stock, the RS line is trending higher. RS rating is strong at 86. Buyer demand strong at a number of funds, and even shares held by fund is increasing quarter on quarter around 44% and 50%. And the stock is trading like 6% from the pivot. EPS rating of 94% shows out the superior fundamental and earnings profile for the company. And talking about the fundamental profile for the company is into manufacture of TAN, that is technical ammonium nitrate, industrial chemicals, and crop nutrition. Talking about the market position for the company is the second largest manufacturer of nitric acid in Southeast Asia and largest in India. And even talking about TAN, they have a good market presence in TAN as well. Overall, if we talk about the Q4 results for the company, the this the sales, EBITDA, and earnings grew well in the range of 20 to 70%, with sales growing at around 28-30%. And overall, the company is very confident going forward in terms of their key products, such as the TAN and nitric acid business. They are expecting that the tightness in both these markets has enabled the company to pass on the rising input costs. So overall, the fundamental and the earnings profile remains strong for the company. The stock is still 6% from the pivot. So any new fresh entry into the stock can be thought about at the pivot in terms of how the price volume action happened around the pivot.
Thanks, Okar. We have some less time. We can quickly take few stocks. One is Indus Tower. So yes, the stock is continuously trading below its 50 DMA. हर बार वहाँ पे resistance मिलता है. If you can see over here, the red line over here, that is the 50 DMA. Every time it tries to reclaim the 50 DMA, it faces resistance. Here also, briefly it took 50 DMA, but it failed. Right, so almost since last 4-5 months, it is not able to reclaim 50 DMA. So technically, it's a weak stock. Fundamentally, there is some improvement, but there is a lot of stress in the flows, because if there is some improvement in the Vodafone Idea side, if their payments, if their dues are able to clear quickly, so there is a lot of issue with this around the. You can connect this issue with the Vodafone Idea thing also, कि उनका जो flow है वो नहीं आ रहा है. But if वहां से अगर चीजें normalize हो जाती है, then that will give a boost to Indus Tower. So I'm taking the things quickly as we have less time. The next is Deepak Nitrite. So yes, over here there was an incident. जो उनका वडोदरा गुजरात में प्लांट था, वहाँ पे इंसिडेंट हो गया था, और उसकी वजह से आई थिंक जो प्लांट है वो बंद करना पड़ा. द गवर्नमेंट इज इंस्पेक्टिंग द रीजंस एंड व्हाई दैट हैपेंड, एंड सो नाउ इट हैज गॉन इनटू ऑल दोस मैटर्स. सो लेट्स सी when it will get a permission to resume the plant, कितना खर्चा आएगा. So that all factors need to be seen. So high volume पे selling हुआ है, and whenever there are such kind of news जो कि प्लांट बंद हो गया है, वहाँ पे एक्सीडेंट या इंसिडेंट हुआ है, so you should try to avoid these kind of stock. और यहाँ पे बॉटम फिशिंग का आइडिया आता है, बट आइडियली you should not do it. टेक्निकली भी अगर देखो, यहाँ पे 4-5 दिन ऊपर गया था, बट यू कैन सी द वॉल्यूम कितना लो था जब वो ऊपर गया था तब. So anyways, there is no technical strength over here. So give some time to the stock, let the issue get resolved. उनका एक आध क्वार्टर का अर्निंग आ जाने दो, मैनेजमेंट कमेंट्री आ जाने दो, एंड लेट इट इम्प्रूव टेक्निकली, और सम बेस बना रहा है. So don't try to bottom fish. That's what according to O'Neill we can say. Okay, so next SRF. काफी रेजिलियंट है ये वीक मार्केट में. इट इज 17% ऑफ हाई. यहाँ पे एक बार अच्छा फॉल आया था, बट इट इज फॉर्मिंग अ स्टेज 1 कंसोलिडेशन बेस. वॉल्यूम भी हायर डेज पे काफी अच्छा है. यहाँ पे थोड़ा हायर वॉल्यूम पे सेलिंग आया था जब 200 DMA ब्रीच हुआ था, बट द वेरी नेक्स्ट डे और इन द नेक्स्ट 2 to 3 सेशन इट रिक्लेम्ड इट्स 200 DMA, आज भी इंट्राडे 200 DMA के, यस अभी भी क्लोजिंग 200 DMA के नीचे आया है आज भी. So let it reclaim its 250 DMA for and break out for the fresh entry. Market condition improve होने दो. Fundamentally no major issues. जो उनका chemical business है that is contributing almost 45-50% of the revenue, that is doing good. जो refrigerant gases है वहां से अच्छा revenue और margin मिल रहा है, and it might continue also. Exports के भी opportunities बढ़ जाएंगे. So that is the fundamentally, or the growth side is not a problem. Packaging business is the second thing that SRF is into. Around 30-32% revenue packaging business से आता है. So वहाँ पे भी कोई मेजर इश्यू नहीं है, बट हाँ रॉ मटेरियल कॉस्ट बढ़ रहा है, सो मार्जिन पे वहाँ पे थोड़ा प्रेशर है. अदरवाइज बोथ द बिजनेस, द केमिकल एज वेल एज द पैकेजिंग का आउटलुक अच्छा है, but in short term the technical weakness is there. Let it reclaim the 50-200 DMA and break out for the fresh entry. Okay, next, Raymond we have already discussed. Let's check IEX. Oh yes, this was in a very good uptrend till December, but in 2022 this has been going down. Currently it is below all its key moving averages. No major issue with the revenue or earnings growth, but yes, competition growth का problem है यहाँ पे, and it is trading below all key moving averages. Try to avoid these kind of stocks in such a market. Next we can look for is the yes, Godrej Properties. Godrej Properties. So here also it is trading at a low, almost 47%. It's October 21 high. So वहां से वो ऊपर ही नहीं गया, and trading below all key moving averages. So raw material cost बहुत बढ़ गया. If you look at the cost of steel and cement, that has been very high for these players, and when the interest rates are increasing, it is not easy to translate the higher raw material prices to the customers also. And I think that's the reason the real estate, all the stocks are in under pressure. So avoid these stocks that are trading about the moving averages. Yes, ICICI Bank. So there was few questions on banking stocks also, so let me take one or two and then we can close the session. So yes, it has breached its 50 and 200 DMA, but वहां पे consolidate कर रहा है. आज निफ्टी की तरह यहाँ भी 21 DMA green line पे found support. The good part over here is कि the result was very good for ICICI Bank. Please note that उनका NIM अच्छा था, asset quality has improved, so that's not an issue. Low volume पे यहाँ पे stock गिरा था, so that is also not a major problem. But हाँ, key moving averages reclaim करना पड़ेगा इसको for a rally. RS थोड़ा weak है ये, अगर overall देखे last 2-3 month का, so then it is trending higher, but recently it has fallen. So let's see if the relative strength improves, और यहाँ पे जो ये resistance level है 200 DMA, 50 DMA, अगर ये तीनों को ये reclaim करता है, then it can move higher in the and form the right side of the bases. और जब base पे breakout होगा, then that will be a ideal entry point. On the downside, if someone is holding, हाँ अगर 21 DMA भी breach हो जाता है, then that will be negative for the stock. Okay, last we can take is JK paper. This has been trading in a very tight zone and forming a stage 4 consolidation base. Not an ideal thing to go after. Stage 3 भी थोड़ा risky हो जाता है, but sometime if everything is fine, then you might take it. But 4 is very risky for taking the fresh position. अभी यहाँ भी अगर देखे तो ये टाटा पावर का जैसा सेटअप था वैसा ही है कि एकदम पिछले 2 या 3 वीक से कंसोलिडेट कर रहा है in a very small zone. So बट यहाँ पे जो सेलिंग का वॉल्यूम है वो हायर है. हमने टाटा पावर में देखा था दैट वॉल्यूम वाज ऑन द लोअर साइड. सो आइडियली नॉट अ गुड थिंग, बट लेट्स सी इफ इट होल्ड्स 50 डीए में यहाँ से ब्रेकआउट होता है तो. But ideally you should not chase stage 4 base in these scenarios. Okay, so time's up, guys. So a lot of queries we tried to answer. Few of them are pending. So you can write us. You can write us, and we will try to respond as quick as possible. So I hope the session was useful to you, and we were able to guide you through the Nifty setup, the macro front, as well as we were able to answer as many queries as possible. And you learned something out of this session. So I hope that has happened. So thank you very much, everyone. So see you tomorrow in the pre-bell at 8:45 a.m. And also you can follow us on all our social media platform to get the regular updates on the stock as well as the index. So you can follow us on the, maybe now we are available on Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn as well. So there you can get a very quick update of all the market setup as well as the stock setups that we are giving. So thank you for joining the session.